We'll go ahead and call this budget workshop to order for Friday, July 19th. If you would, just silence any electronics devices that you have. And I'll go ahead and turn it over to Ty. And then I just want to state, if we could, we'll take let's take our time as far as the commission goes. Let's go through this and get it done the best we can, and with respect to Ty, and allow her to make adjustments or do whatever she needs to do. So Ty, go ahead. You're muted.
Okay.
There you go.
Good morning, Chairman. Good morning, Commissioners. After some early morning discussion, I think we've got the deficit down to about $300,000 to spread out through the general fund. So can I share my spreadsheet with y'all?
Please.
Okay. So, when we started out, we were given the task of balancing the revenues to the expenditures in the general fund, and based on direction, we created a ratio that gave each department, based on their expenditures versus the revenue, a percentage of what we needed to absorb to balance the revenues to the expenditures. So our total revenue when we first started, after we got the final numbers, the total revenue for the general fund is $9,159,991. And based on visiting with the departments and going over the budget, we ended up with total expenditures of about $10,041,000, and the deficit was $881,575.00. So I applied the ratio to all the departments in the general fund, and we came up with a number. But after some early morning discussion, I think if we take all the open positions off the books, we come up with a savings in the general fund of about $580,000, which would leave the deficit roughly about $300,000 that we'd have to trim off. So, yes, sir.
I'd like to know where those open positions currently are at.
Yes, sir. I was going to go up and show
Thank
this.
you.
Yes, sir. So right now, after talking with Monty, he's not going to feel there's going to be Jonah's position and the IT director, which would result in a savings in the manager's office of $193,000. In maintenance, there's 2 open positions, and that would be $129,000. There is a part-time position in the treasurer's office of a savings of $30,864. After speaking with the warden this morning, she has 2 open unfilled positions that would result in $113,000 savings. And then the road has one of $57,000, and the airport has one of $56,000.
What was the one before the airport?
Road,
Thank you.
it's 57,000.
Okay.
Which would, give us a position savings of 580,000. So
Chair,
if,
Mr.
Go ahead,
Chair.
Commissioner Ware.
Ty, are there any other open positions at all?
uh, there is, this county position attorney open, but I didn't know what to do with that, since I know that, the current contract expires in October. I didn't know if y'all were gonna pursue hiring in-house or doing a contract, so I didn't touch this one.
Okay.
So, go back.
Commissioner Kern, any comments or thoughts?
Thank you. I think, well, just an open discussion about the attorney position. I mean, we budgeted to hire a full-time, and then there's also, I believe, 200,000 budgeted for legal fees. Well, for,
I did knock it down to 100,000.
okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
I think with that regards, I think the money there's plenty to get us through, and I don't believe we necessarily need to worry about that right now or touch it. Because that'll be decided as we come up for the RFP, or if we go out or we hire a new one.
Okay.
I
So
agree.
do you want me to add it to the position savings or leave it alone?
Leave it alone.
Yes, sir.
I guess I like it, but I also, I mean, that is $500,000 in savings. I guess my question to the rest of the commission, would it be fair? Or do we, I mean, it doesn't have to be fair necessarily, it's the commission's decision, but do we stick with the cuts, the percentages like this, and give it to the department heads and say, you know, your budget, this is what you need to cut. And if you're cutting a position, you cut a position, then you have to come back to us. That's if you want to fill a position later on down the road.
If, Mr. Chairman, I think some of those positions were never actually even approved by commission. They were in the original request for prelim 1. So that would have been the IT director position, the sixth position in maintenance, the part-time in the treasurer, and the 12th position in the road. Those had never been approved anyway, so I think they absolutely need to be cut.
Okay.
And the other ones, I support cutting them.
So, Mr. Chairman, first of all, the position in the road was never approved. We didn't. Did we add an additional road person
He had 11.
compared to prior year, Mr. Chairman?
I'll let Commissioner Kern.
Glenn's here. I believe you had 11 positions, but had requested a 12th one. Is that not correct? For prelim 1, and then for some reason it had been added to this.
If you could come up to the mic, Glenn. Thank you.
Maybe I'm wrong, but
I'm not real sure previous to me But according to my records, we've always had 12 positions. I think
But-
it's been a long time since we've had up to 12 positions full.
But did you not give one up to get the secretary's position? Yes.
We did give one up. We've had several that had retired, you know, through the last year, and a few employees that had left. But to my knowledge, we still had the 12. And I may be misunderstanding it, but
And so, Mr. Chairman, that 12 does or does not include the secretary position.
It does include.
it does.
So what they gave up, Commissioner Kern, was a CDL driver position for a secretary position, but the number of people in the department has remained the same. So to ask them to give up headcount, I'm not in favor of, especially the roads department.
Me, what actually happened was when we deleted that a maintenance position to hire the administrative assistant, we had one employee leave at that point, right afterwards. So that deleted that work. And we've never hired anyone since then, since that employee left. Is what I'm trying to say, I guess.
Thank you, Mr. Stevens.
And Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
Mr. Stevens, so in all of our roads districts within the county, is there a maintenance personnel in each of those positions?
At this moment, yes. And the position that I'm needing worse than anything right now is a CDL driver. And just here currently, I've had like 3 applicants with CDL licenses.
And how many CDL drivers do you have right now?
2, me and 1 full-time operator is what I have right now.
Class A's?
Yeah, Class A. I do have 1 employee with a Class B.
Are any of your drivers interested in getting their Class
I'm
A?
actually working with an employee right now. He currently had a CDL, and it sounds like he had got a grant on his own with Luna College to do a refresher course, being he had his CDL previously, and we're working on that to hopefully he can take that refresher course and get his CDL. And the problem I have is that full-time operator that does have his Class A isn't a full-time blade operator as well. So a lot of times I have him so busy blading roads or cleaning culverts and cattle guards, you know, so I can't really stick him on a truck for sure, you know, when we're needing to. And it depending on where we're at as far as blading roads and stuff, so.
Well, they definitely have to wear different hats, that's for sure.
Oh, yeah.
You know, we can't afford to hire just a CDL driver to sit around and wait
Oh,
when
no.
we need the truck.
Oh, no.
So
It would
they
be
have to, yeah, have to more.
multitask, yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Absolutely.
Is there anything further from Mr. Stevens? Commissioner Ware?
Not for Mr. Stevens. I would like to hear from each of the department heads that were discussing cutting a personnel and understand the impact to their department.
Commissioner Kern, is there anything further for Mr. Stevens?
No.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Stevens. Yes, Warden, would you mind coming up? Warden Slade? You had two positions, is that correct, Ty?
Yes, sir.
So yeah, right now we do have the two positions open. As of right now, we're only a little over half. With detainees, but I mean, I know I could come back. I mean, we're okay now. We're pretty well staffed, but possibly we might be losing one to a different department in Raton. So that would leave 3 positions open. But the more detainees we get, the more staff we're gonna have to have. So, I mean, we're okay at the moment, but
Do you know, I guess your average occupancy throughout the year is
it's usually about 62,
62, and you're at half right now,
a little over half.
a little over half.
I mean, we got 9 in yesterday, so
Busy day.
it's coming, huh?
Busy day.
Very busy day.
Warden, so you have what, 31 then, right, currently? I
Yes,
think your
that's everybody, yes. That includes my,
admin and everything.
everybody in the
Yes.
facility, yes.
Thank you.
Commissioner Weir.
Yes. So Warden, my question is, what kind of impact will there be on overtime if these positions are cut?
It's gonna be kind of hard to say, just because if people call in and another person calls in, because we do have, let's say, 5 staff on the floor. 2 people call in, an emergency, whatever, we might have to call someone in. Right now, we are watching overtime. But if we lose any more, the overtime will go up.
And you have a
This-
set amount of overtime that you will have to incur anyways, correct?
There is automatic overtime that will occur every year, which is not reflected in my budget, was not reflected in my budget
You
last year.
had 85,000 in your
Yes.
budget for last year and 200 this year. Isn't it like
Yeah, 'cause I did an
150,000?
I did an average, it's about 111 automatic, and that's just an average based on how many we have now with the holiday, with the training that's automatic that I have to have every year. Everybody has to have 40 hours of training in the building. It's not just my officers. For the accreditation, so it's about 111,000 automatic, maybe a little bit more,
Thank
a
you.
little bit less, depending on how many staff we have.
Commissioner Weir, sorry about that. Go ahead.
Oh, that was a good question. Yeah, so I guess, and this might be something for Ty, but that's something we need to understand in each of these departments is, are we, what is the actual savings going to be when you have to consider paying overtime for staff to do the work that was intended to be performed by these individuals we're cutting? So it doesn't make sense to cut staff if we're not going to have savings. And the way it's presented by Ty is that, these are budgeted, so we get to remove it from the budget, but is it really going to save us money? And that is going to be highly dependent on the cost of overtime.
Yes, sir. I was just trying to come up with different scenarios to present.
No, I get it. I'm not trying to, complain. I'm just stating that whenever you look at cutting staff, you have to look at the whole picture, because there are ancillary expenses that occur when you don't have staff positions filled.
Yes, sir.
And that's my comment. And My concern is, you know, are we cutting staff, but is it really going to save us any money?
No, sir, I can look further into that. I just was trying to get us some stuff to look at this morning.
Got it.
I totally understand where Commissioner Weir is coming from, and I would agree, but it's hard to know without having a crystal ball, which none of us have, on what the overtime's gonna be. I mean, we've seen it go up, we've seen it go down. You know, at 111,000, savings based on, you know, I mean, that's 2 full-time positions, but yeah, I guess ultimately, we don't know. I mean, in a budget is our best guess of what's gonna happen in the upcoming year, so I guess if we all had the answers, we wouldn't be here, would we?
No, ma'am. And then, you know what I tried to do, it's really just an estimate. It doesn't mean we have to spend the extra. You know, if I'm given that 200,000, doesn't mean I have to go from 111 to exactly 200,000. But it'll give me that leeway, and then I know what's budgeted already. So that we know there's an automatic, so we know that's gonna happen no matter what. And then we can work on making sure that, you know, if we have to, I'll come in work, both my lieutenants will come in and work, and, you know, what we gotta do and adjust our schedules as well to help with the budget,
Thank you.
but you never know.
Yes,
Mr. Chairman, I'll just say that trying to utilize, we don't know as a reason for not doing something in budget, to me, is just ridiculous. We don't know anything that's going to happen next year. A budget is an educated guess. That's all it is. And the more educated we can be in making that guess, and the closer we can get to the real numbers that are going to be that are going to be affected, is exactly what we should be trying to do so that we make the best possible guess. And so by saying, well, we don't know what the overtime is going to be. Well, let's do an educated guess on what that overtime is going to be based on the lack of personnel, because it is a factor that needs to be considered.
No, and I understand with both you, Commissioner Kern and Commissioner Weir, saying that last year was, last year and just the spending and everything, we were 1.1 over. So, I mean, that was a horrible year. Is there anything further for Warden Slade? Commissioners? Thank you, Warden Slade. So we have the jail, we have the roads. I guess County Manager, if you'd like to go ahead and speak on behalf of your office, and I don't, is anyone here for maintenance?
Our maintenance director had medical issues.
Okay.
That he had resolved today.
Maybe you could speak a little bit to that, of what you know.
Okay. As far as the manager's office, I think right now, kind of Ty had presented the information that we've been discussing. But I think if we did not fill those 2 positions, I think that would, as far as the manager's office, I think that would bring us down enough that once again, it would overall be what is needed to move forward and getting this budget to balance. As far as maintenance, I haven't really had a chance at this point to talk to Fred. He's been very busy. Some of the things that we may have to do if we lose maintenance positions is come up with simple solutions, kind of like maybe having people clean their own offices, trash out on a hallway. But as far as different departments I'd have to dump trash, things like that. They do have to do some incidental cleaning of their offices and stuff like that.
Well, these 2 positions have been open for a while, correct?
They have.
So it'd probably just be operations as normal. Would you think, Commissioner Kern, Commissioner Weir? I don't.
The 5th position has been open for a little bit. The 6th position has been added. He's only, I believe in last year's budget, there was only 5 positions. The 6th one is an addition. I would be totally in favor of dropping the 6th, but you know, and then let's discuss the fifth, but the sixth one was an addition.
Thank you. Sorry, County Manager, go ahead.
No problem, sir. Once again, I think we all have to work together in a kind of a constructive, positive way, to grow our budgets. And I think that's going to behoove every one of the departments, every one of the offices. Because everybody is aware at this point, and after working with Ty, there's some critical, our budget's in critical condition. And I think you have to step up and do the right thing. And kind of like Word and Slade and others have related, we may have to come up and step into different positions and do more. But I think that's what is needed at this time in order to get us through what we need to get through.
Okay, thank you. So my question, with you cutting the IT director, would that be considering cutting Amadeo, or is that separate funds?
That would be cutting Almondale.
Okay.
And I know the reason that I think we could do that is I know Almondale, although he is incredibly talented, he has done an incredible job for Colfax County. I think he's probably been the best IT director that we've ever had. With that said, I know that he's been talking to me even a year or two ago about reducing his time and eventually retiring. And with that, I think we have been working with Tim Martinez to train under Amondeo and take guidance from him. And I know Amondeo has been mentoring him and training him to do his job. So that's kind of where the IT department is at this point. That's why I think if necessary, we can go that direction, sir.
Yeah. Thank
So,
you.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, go ahead, Commissioner Ware.
Mr. Manager, so if we cut this FTE out of the budget, are you going to retain Amadeo as a contract employee? And if so, what is that going to cost? Because again, cutting something out of the budget, and frankly, I feel the same way about the finance director or finance specialist position. If we're going to eliminate that position, but we're going to then be required to retain, someone outside of the organization to do some of that work, that expense needs to be factored into it so that we understand exactly what, or as close as we can to what the true savings are going to be. Because I'm not sure exactly what your plan is, but not having a good finance person, I think, is what got us into this position. And we certainly don't want to continue a situation where we're trying to spread that work out amongst people who don't have experience and, increase their workload to try and cover that cost. And we ultimately end up covering the cost by hiring a consultant to do it for us. That's just robbing Peter to pay Paul. And it to me, it's not a good budget strategy.
Commissioner Weir, I totally agree with everything that you just said, and that's not what we're doing. We're looking at using the existing positions within the manager's office. Right now, I have an individual that's training with I specifically. We'll probably get some accounting background and training for that individual. And I'm also utilizing another person, which is cross-training right now as well, to take or take on other responsibilities. But I think with that said, I do think Ty has been an invaluable asset to the county. And I think having a certified public accountant come in with the 15 years of governmental accounting, and I know she was the, I think, assistant director, for Lee County. We've certainly been appreciative with her resume and her credentials, and she has really worked hard, and put in a lot of time, to get us where we're at today. But I would like to, and this will be addressed probably in the meeting on Tuesday, but I would like to extend her contract maybe one time, so that we can actually do training and work with her to really get the budget portion addressed and get training in that so that people feel comfortable in taking that position. But once again, it's not going to be multiple people working as a finance director. It'll be one person within the manager's office that's assigned to that. And I think under the extreme budgetary conditions that we find ourselves, I think that's probably a good decision at this time. As far as Amandeo, Commissioner Weir, he is a contracted employee. And I think right now, as I've stated, I think he is extremely good in what he does. I would hate to lose him, but I think sometimes tough times call for tough decisions. And this is kind of what we have been working toward with Tim Martinez. And I don't think Mr. Amandeo would be impacted too much, because I know he has other contracts with other institutions and governmental agencies, I believe, that he could put more time and attention to.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, please.
Yeah, let me see. Commissioner Weir, is there anything further?
No, Mr. Chairman, thank you. Not at this time.
Thank you, Commissioner Kern. Please go ahead.
Thank you. So yes, the IT director is currently under contract, and there's several, I think, close to 300,000 budgeted for IT. I don't know if he was included in the professional services part, but this that we're talking about in the manager's budget is a full-time IT director position with benefits, and that is not what Mr. Soto has been. So I think we need to be very clear on that. So if we're cutting this position, which doesn't exist, this is new, because I went back on the salary from the salary schedule of last year. That position's not on the salary schedule.
Commissioner Kern, and I realize that. I assumed that he was going to be moved from a contract person to an employee is the reason that it's on there, because again, we didn't get an itemization of the professional services budget detail. But I was assuming he was moving there. And so I guess the real question is, if we're eliminating this position and he's already in the budget under professional services, then you're right. That's great. We're going to get 100% benefit from that reduction. And that makes perfect sense to me. But if we took the money out of professional services to help cover the cost of this position, and now all we're going to do is move the money back into professional services, then we need to understand that, and we need to understand the impact of that. To be frank, I think it would be best to retain him in his current capacity, regardless, in a tight budgetary situation. But so my vote would be to keep him as a contractor, not moving to an employee. But I don't know that. And again, I don't know whether his fees that we pay him as a contractor are included in the professional services budget or not. So that's what I'm trying to figure out.
They are not. As far as the budget line item under the manager's office, professional services only account for $3,000 last year, $200. Well, IT services and supplies. I don't know. Ty, can you?
So where was he paid out of? Where is he being paid out of?
That's what I'm double checking right now. I'm logging in. to see where,
And I just want to state though that I'm not,
Ty, that.
hold
may
on,
be an-
hold on real quick. I'm not happy that these positions are being put in our salary schedule where they weren't there last year. We specifically said we were going off of last year. So go ahead, County Manager, what'd you have to say?
Ty, you might want to look in the commission budget.
okay,
So that's where he's being paid out of, County Manager?
I believe so.
If I may,
Yes.
Chairman, I can't speak for Mr. Soto, but I don't believe that he would even be interested in coming in as an employee because of his, retirement stuff. So that is not, I don't think, a concern.
Mr. Chairman, I would agree with that as well.
So, Mr. Chairman, again, the question is if his current pay is included in some department or fund under professional services currently, then we know we're going to get full benefit by cutting that position. And, I'm not in favor of moving him into that position at this time. I'm just trying to understand how much money we're really going to save.
I think it's an assumption, looking at the prior year budget to this year budget, that he is included in those numbers, because there's no change in those numbers. There's only a change being added necessarily to the salary schedule. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. Yes.
So, Mr. Chairman, if that is correct, then we know we can recognize 100% savings on eliminating that position. And that's all I was trying to figure out.
Yeah, thank you. So we've discussed maintenance, county manager's office, the jail, roads. Ty, what other department was there? Or, I guess Madam Treasurer, you had a half part-time position?
Yes, but I knew that wasn't gonna happen for the last meeting.
Okay.
I thought maybe being temporary. I hate to lose another person. Since 2005, I've only hired another full-time person.
Okay.
Just that sometimes we have people take vacation and then.
Mr. Chairman, I can't hear what she's saying.
Oh, yes, thank you. Thank you, Madam Treasurer.
Okay, I knew that I was giving up that part-time. We were trying to help. In the past, we've had people on vacation, people with emergencies, and then we're short-staffed. I'd hate to lose. If we have to cut again, since 2005, my office has only hired one person. And I just don't think we should have to pay for what's gone on in the county. We're pretty extremely busy. August will slow down and be able to catch up on stuff. And then September, we start with taxes. And then we're busy again.
Okay.
Pretty much with taxes, then it goes into, we send notices, then we have delinquents, then we have to send stuff to the state.
So this part-time position will not affect your current office numbers.
No, I just would hate to lose somebody after that.
Okay.
Because that would leave us with two clerks and then receiving taxes and taking care of the county with all the monies. It's not gonna happen the way we've been. And the thing is too, we have people that have learned accounting, they've adapted and they know accounting. It's hard to bring, even to hire. And that's why I thought if I did hire, and it would be temporary, to make sure they can catch on to our accounting methods that we have. Because if not, we're trying to balance and then we're out of balance, and it's a big process.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Weir.
No, I don't have any questions. I think on this one, if it's not a currently active position, we didn't expend any money last year on a part-time. Is that correct, Madam Treasurer?
No, I was just trying to add one and we'll be fine.
Okay.
We'll be fine with what we have. I just would hate to lose if whatever's happening in the county, it would hurt our office and hurt the county if we would lose another employee.
Understood.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hold on, Commissioner Kern? Anything?
No questions. I think, Lydia's got a total of 5, including herself and, Mr. Ortiz. So, if she feels like she can get away without it, which she has in the past, the county back in 20, I believe it was, did away with all part-time positions because of the expense that it costs, benefit wise. Seeing that they didn't feel that that was efficient, but I think.
Yeah, and I was looking for part-time temporary. I mean, we eliminated hiring and they still hired, so
Yeah.
nobody's following anything.
Right. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. And I appreciate that and I appreciate your frankness. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Treasurer. Ty, who else were the departments? We've heard from jail.
Airport. The airport had one position that was open.
I think we could speak to that. It hasn't been filled since I've been with the county.
Is that the tech position?
Yeah, that's Scott's position or Scott's assistant or.
Yeah, it's been filled a little bit and then open and then filled and then open and
I think it was filled for 2 weeks and the guy broke his leg and he was gone.
yeah.
Broke his leg, not on county time. County manager, do you have anything to mention to that since it falls under your office?
Before we made a decision on that, I would like to have a chance to talk with the department head.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yes. Commissioner Weir?
No. I don't
Commissioner,
have any questions on that one.
I have a question about the airport, but it's not for right now, so.
Okay.
We'll save it for Tuesday.
so Ty, does that conclude all department?
Yes, sir.
I guess my thoughts moving forward, and I'll put this to the commission. I'd say recut all those positions except one from the jail. We'll leave one of those positions open. My thought behind that is they have a 62% occupancy for the year. They're a little underneath half. Maybe that one position will help them out if they could fill it, and it would be an adjustment. I mean, we can't predict overtime or what it will be, but she does have 200,000 for overtime right now. And I guess what I would like to see is maybe those cuts happen and then it be put into this deficit ratio spreadsheet here.
Yes, sir.
And then we could look at it real quick and see which each department would be cutting.
Okay.
And then my thought behind that is the commission doesn't know the best way to run your department. You do. So we would say this is the number that we need, or this is where you're going to be short. That's what it's going to be, is this is where you're going to be short. And how you do that is how you do it. I'd encourage you to look at operating expenses, but at the same point, look at your positions that you have as far as what needs to be cut. If you do cut a position, my recommendation is that position will be gone and it'll come back to the commission in the future if you ever want to refill it. That's kind of my recommendation to the commission. I guess Commissioner Weir, any comments or recommendations on your end?
So, yeah, Mr. Chairman, I'm not in favor of giving everybody the same percentage. I think we need to do analysis and see where the growth has been over the past 3 years, and that we should apply a percentage based on the amount of growth. If you have departments that have been frugal and have not had growth, significant growth, over the last few years, by giving everybody the same percentage, you're punishing those departments for being good stewards of the people money. I think we need to look at where the growth was, and that's where the cuts need to happen.
Okay, Commissioner Weir, that is not what I had mentioned as far as being a fair percentage. The sheet that Ty has in front of us, the way she's getting those ratios is your expenses divided amongst your revenue gives us your percent of what you exceed. So if there is a department that runs leaner, they're going to have a lesser of a cut that needs to be made.
But Mr. Chairman, some of these departments have no revenue.
It's not a basis of revenue, it's a basis of expense.
So again, I mean, I don't know. I mean, for the detention center, they now have 30 staff. Did they have, or 32 staff, whatever the number is? Is that what they had 3 years ago, or did they grow? So as a comparison of total expense, it's not focusing on growth. It's focusing on just what your expense is today.
Commissioner Kern?
I can understand and appreciate where Commissioner Weir is coming from, but with the detention center, and I don't know what the growth has been over the last 3 years, but they do have to maintain a certain number, which I believe is when I was the manager was 32 to be accredited to maintain accreditation. I don't know if that still holds true, but at that time it was. And I would like for a question for Chairman. You said cut the positions. I think we need to be very specific about which ones we're talking about. Okay, the IT director, are we leaving maintenance at the 5 that they've always had and only cutting the 6th position? We've agreed on the treasurers. But I think we need to be very specific about which ones were for the record.
No, that's fine. I was mentioning the 2 for the maintenance. It was the recommended cuts, and that's fine. If you guys don't want to make cuts, I mean, it's up to the commission as a whole to do it. I'm just throwing a recommendation out there. So if we want another recommendation, there's something that we could agree on and move forward. I'm more than happy to hear it and entertain it. My thought was behind that is maintenance is currently maintaining right now as it is. I know we lack in certain areas, but we've lacked there for a while. We've kind of discussed each of those other departments, and I was fine with cutting all of those. Glenn, hopefully we could be of assistance in getting somebody that's currently within the county trained up on a Class A CDL. And that could help give assistance so it's not solely being bore by 2 individuals. And the one from the jail was just there on the occupancy count and overtime thoughts. So that's where I was coming from. And I believe Ty does have a 5-year expense sheet available that she can possibly share.
Yes, sir.
It does show where increases have occurred. I guess Commissioner Kern, is that going to help answer the questions?
Yes, sir.
Is there anything further or any recommendation?
No, I think you hit it, and I think all of those positions that were definitely added need to be cut.
So we would cut one additional one from maintenance in the airport. Because the other one and the jail and the road.
Is that one from the jail or 2?
One.
One from the jail. One from the.
Well, the maintenance one was added into the salary schedule, or one has not been filled. So we would subtract 1, which would be 2 off of our numbers. The part-time out of the treasurer,
IT director.
IT director, And then the one position open in the county manager's office, financial specialist. And then the airport.
And Mr. Chairman, if I could, I would like to, before we make any kind of a decision on that, have an opportunity to talk to the IT, or excuse me, the airport manager.
Thank you.
I think it's awful difficult to run that with just one person. You're gonna have a whole lot of unmanned hours. Not that it's impossible, because there's lots of airports that run unmanned. They're open but unmanned. But it's, you know, I don't know if that position was part-time or full-time still, but
Mr. Chairman, I think that's a full-time position.
yes.
And unless something's happened that I'm not unaware of, I think that position is still filled. I would agree with Vice Chair Kern, especially with the work that we're putting into the airport and things like that. I think having two people at the airport is essential. But I would like to have an opportunity to talk to the airport manager to see if something has changed.
Well, Mr. Chairman, we're not making any decisions today, right? So these are basically what we're trying to direct Ty into giving us additional information based on things that we're considering doing. So even though you know, I think that airport, it is challenging to operate it with a single individual. I think she can still give us numbers on what would it be if we removed that position, and we can see what it's like now. In addition, like I said, I'd like to see the reduction that is needed allocated based on growth. And so, you know, all we're asking in this meeting is for Ty to give us more information so we can make a final decision on Tuesday.
Yeah, and I have no problem with that. It's just, I'm trying to narrow down what she needs to look at. So
I see.
if you and Commissioner Kern are okay with the airport, I have no problem with leaving the airport present. So I guess can we first agree to remove? However, just we kind of go down the list here. I mean, do you feel that we could take from the roads, Commissioner Ware?
I do not think we should take from the roads because they're at the same staffing level that they've been. So I don't think it's fair to take away from them. And to be frank, we already struggle during large snow events and other things. We struggle getting roads plowed. I mean, that's my number one complaint now that we've got the trash issue resolved is road issues. So, you know,
Okay.
how I feel.
Well, I guess we could agree that those positions that were put in, so IT, maintenance, and the treasurer, right? The part-time in the treasurer's office.
Yes,
So those were all added to the salary schedule without the commission's approval, correct?
yes.
So I guess commissioners, can we agree to take those out?
I agree on that.
Yes.
Okay, so I agree with that too. So let's take those three positions out. Okay, so we could agree on that. We could leave the rest for now. Because that's essentially. Our Commissioner Kern, thoughts on that?
No, I definitely think those need to be removed.
Okay, no, but did you want to leave or take any of those other positions?
I'm hesitant to do so. Even though I know the roads had opening, just like maintenance has had an opening for quite some time, and they've learned how to do without those positions. So I
Oh.
would,
That's fine.
I'm really torn on it. I would maybe like to hear from the maintenance director. I mean, we've heard from Glenn. I would like to hear what Mr. Martinez has to say
Thank you.
before we take that fifth one.
Okay. Commissioner Weir, any comments?
No, I concur with, Commissioner Kern.
Okay, thank you. Ty, is there, or Commissioner Kern, do you have any kind of recommendation that you'd like to see? Commissioner Weir's wanting a growth percentage. I do understand his point on that too. Those that have grown more over the last few years, I probably understand that there was a need, but maybe those departments need to be cut back. I was looking at expense ratios as far as expense to what you take out of general fund to cut. But Commissioner Kern?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think we need to look at it from all directions. I like your approach. I can agree with Commissioner Weir's approach. You know, we need to look at growth, like you said, also because of need or have, you know, so I'd kind of like to see us look at all options.
Okay.
I know it takes some work to do so, but I think we need to look at it from all directions.
Okay.
We also should look at have the county grown. I don't know what God is here.
So the question just for the public is, has the county grown? Or, you know, how have we gotten here? And looking from the numbers, the issues that got us here were bringing on positions and increased in pay is what got us here. Where our reoccurring revenue is currently, I guess I haven't looked at the numbers just yet, is at 80. Actually, I did look at the numbers. I just don't know it off the top of my head. We're at 78% of reoccurring revenues for our salaries. Most other counties are on average 71%. So that's where the main issue has occurred, and it's occurred over the last 5 years. And you'll see that in the expense rate, 5-year expense review. And that's where the majority of it has come from.
I meant that it has grown to that. I try to get at that because we do accounting, we're not, don't just file, we do numbers all day long. Every night we have to balance every month.
I would say from a population standpoint, I understand where you're coming from, and I'm just thinking, how did the county, from a population standpoint, I think the county has shrunk. Probably from a criminal side, it's probably increased, right? From the jail and the sheriff's office. So it's, yeah. So I guess Ty and Commissioner Weir, do you have any thoughts on how you're going to go forward in looking at the growth and how you will cut from that growth? Or I guess, can you paint a picture to help me better understand?
Mr. Chairman, I mean, if you say you have that 5-year comparison, that would, to me, would be a good basis for determining that. And, you know, we can break it down into growth reoccurring and non-reoccurring. I think to do a good 5-year comparison, you need to pull out the non-reoccurring expense, because one year you may have, you know, I mean, Sheriff's Department's got $600,000 for vehicles this year. You don't get that every year. So I would look at it as growth from a reoccurring expense perspective, and you know, see who has the largest growth and how that compares to growth in revenue, because there is some natural growth that you would have over the years due to inflation, but that growth should be reflected in revenue, because the inflation, since the basis of our revenue is predominantly real estate. There's been inflation in that as well. So that would be the easiest way to do it. If you wanted to get more sophisticated, you could actually put in factors for inflation on an annual basis to try and bring it to a 2020 dollar or whatever you want and do a comparison that way. But to me, I think that if you just looked at the reoccurring expenses and did an analysis of the growth of those reoccurring expenses over the last 5 years, that would give us good direction on where the cuts would need to occur.
Thank you. I'm not wanting to argue with you, Commissioner Weir. It's not my point. I'm just stating some facts that I see on my side with inflation. And I believe that inflation's probably increased 30% over the last 2 years, let's say. And but the assessor's office is she can only on our property tax base increase residential's max 3% per year. Commercials every 4 years. And then private land, agricultural, I mean, that's kind of a given that she has to take her best educated guess on, and it is going to be lower. So we are going to be behind the curve naturally from an inflation standpoint, at least a decade. I'm thinking if property values are 8 to 10 years, the only other time that a home could be brought up to current market value is if it sells. And from my understanding, the assessor has a hard time to actually get the number unless it's given of what it actually sold for. And I do have Madam Assessor. She did step up to the podium.
Good morning, Chairman, Commissioners. I just want to share that last year in 2023, that we increased the taxable value $47 million. We went from 600, and I'm guessing on the first amount, but 636 million to 736 million. So that's where your tax base comes from, is the taxable value. This year, when I approached you all with the valuation and maintenance plan, we are up 29 million. So as far as my office goes, we are doing a wonderful job getting the valuation in. And what you were saying, Sai, is correct. We can, if a property sells, yes, we can take it 85% of that sales price if we get the sales price. And that gives our market that we can go out and give a 3% to certain areas. So as far as the assessor's office, we are doing our job, and my appraisers are go-getters. They're out there getting that valuation, especially up in Angel Fire, where most of the sales are in Angel Fire. So I just wanted to come up and say that.
Thank you, Madam Assessor. So, but thank you, Commissioner Weir, for your points there. I do see where you're coming from. So thank you. So that's something Ty will have to work up and bring back to us later, I believe. And Ty, maybe you could work with Commissioner Weir on that to kind of, you two see the vision and you could present it to the rest of the commission on that. Does that sound okay with Commissioner Weir?
Sounds good to me.
Thank you. If it's okay with current Commissioner Weir, I would like to look at this deficit ratio real quick. Ty, do you mind, can we just do a quick run through on it? I guess. Well, we don't have to do the run through. I guess, can we just go to the county? So there's 2 or 3 points I do want to make on there. We go up to the insurance side of things. The county insurance, you had 73,000 in blue. I was just there, or 75. So that's county insurance. So we pay it's.
Well, the reason it's in blue, I know that we can't adjust our insurance is what it is, But to
Correct.
make sure I balanced, I use that as a stopgap. And that was one of my points that we need to decide how we're gonna allocate that 75,000. Because our insurance is what our insurance is, and we can't cut it regardless of what the debt ratio, the expenditure ratio is to the revenue. So I use that as a stopgap measure to see where we're gonna, and I was hoping maybe in the savings of the those, 3 positions that were added but weren't approved, that maybe that would offset some of the savings, this deficit.
And thank you. And my thought on that would be divide that in 3 amongst the jail, the sheriff's office, and the county commission.
Okay,
I think we're the ones that hit that the most, or is, that due to lawsuits, due to losses, I think that, I don't know, commissioners, if you think that's fair or not, or not fair or not, commissioners, what's your opinion? Commissioner Ware?
Mr. Chairman, I think, it should be allocated based on whatever ratio we have in which the insurance is covering the actions of different departments. And you're right, if a department has minimal exposure to liability, then they should only have to take in a minimal portion of that cost. I think the departments you named are the primary sources of our liability exposure, but I don't know that they represent 100% of it. And I think in the detail of the insurance, it speaks to what is being covered specifically, and we may want to look at that to try and get a better determination of how that allocation should occur.
I guess that's something the county manager could look into. I don't think time's gonna permit for us to do a deep dive into that. But we could ask the county manager to see what he does have available and work with New Mexico counties on that. Maybe they have, actually, we could just put it on New Mexico counties to possibly help us with that. Commissioner Kern?
I've got nothing there.
Nothing there? All right. Just trying to think. I guess I was asked Ty to update this later. Like to see where it comes in. Oh, the other thing was miscellaneous appropriations. It's gonna be a little further down, right by the insurance where we were at. 19,000 or something. Oh, a little higher than
110.
right there.
With the extension office and the wildlife and the senior companions.
I believe that that money has already been allocated out.
Okay,
So I don't know if I'd assume that just comes out of the commission.
okay.
That's all I had were those two that we could see. And then I saw that, like, right there you have 35.
I was just I was trying to get balanced numbers with the percentages.
Cool. No, that works. That's what I was.
I hate to put nickels and dimes in the budget because you chase them everywhere. So if you have whole round numbers, you don't, there's no transposition.
Okay. Well, that gives us a better path forward. Commissioners, anything further? Commissioner Kern?
Just for clarification on the financial specialist position, is that one, are we assuming that that one's cut right now? Or
No,
not?
No.
Just the added positions,
just the added positions.
just clarification. Thank you.
Yes. Mhm. And the added positions were the IT position, the maintenance position, and the part-time treasurer's position. Commissioner Weir, anything further on this?
Sure.
Sure. Or no?
No.
Okay, thank you.
Additional.
I guess on the budget recap, or anything like that, Commissioner Kern, was there any questions or that you may have for Ty or
Not at
anything
this
else?
time, sir. Thank you.
No? Any other department head? Any questions for Ty this time? Okay. I guess I would like to schedule a budget hearing again to go over this. Commissioners, is there a time that you would like? My assumption would just be, maybe 8 o'clock on Tuesday before our commission meeting. Commissioner Kern?
No, I'm fine with that.
I guess, quick, Ty, does that provide you enough time to update this spreadsheet and do the comparison or work with Commissioner Weir, or do we need more time?
I will get it done. I will be in the courthouse Monday morning at 8:15. I will be in Raton on Monday, so I will be in the building.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Weir, would that work for you with the budget workshop at 8 a.m. on Tuesday?
Sure.
Thank you. All right. Go ahead, Commissioner.
Question, and this is for both commissioners, Ty and the manager, do we feel like we will be ready to vote on the final budget Tuesday? I mean, will our department heads and everything have time to get all of their stuff done and that? Because I think I'm assuming here, we're gonna need one more meeting to vote on the final, because I don't know that we'll be ready Tuesday.
I guess the ultimate decision would come down to, I don't feel like the department heads will need to necessarily have to act on it before then or come in on that, because it's going to have to be a cut in either direction. And then right now it's just going to be which way are we cutting? Are we going to be cutting the deficit side or the expense side, like kind of presented here, or the way presented by Commissioner Weir? And it probably will need to go into probably set up a special meeting to approve the final budget later, but I'd like to do it later that week. Commissioner Kern?
Well, and I agree. That's kind of where I was going with this and stuff, but I think, the more heads up that we can give everybody, I don't know what the clerk's schedule is, commissioner's schedule or that, so just.
I'll be out on Thursday. I have another meeting dealing with looking at some film for bulletproof film for our office. So I'll be out Thursday and Friday.
Yeah. Commissioner Weir?
I'll do my best to accommodate whatever we need to do. I do have some time scheduled out of town. My daughter has some school-related things that need to occur the latter part of next week. So, you know, I'll just try to accommodate whatever is needed.
Okay, thank you. Well, how about I guess Tuesday the 30th, Commissioner Kern? Madam,
Yeah.
Tuesday would work better for me.
Look better for you.
But Tuesday will work fine for me, Tuesday at 8.
30th.
The 30th.
Ty, does that give you enough time if we make last minute adjustments to submit?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
So I would like the county manager's office to keep it on the agenda for Tuesday. If we're not ready, we're not ready. We'll just strike that from the agenda. And we'll just go ahead and schedule a special meeting for Tuesday, the 30th at 9 a.m.
9.
Okay, so budget workshop, this next Tuesday, the 23rd, right? The 23rd at 8 a.m. And then following our regularly scheduled commission meeting after that. Then a special meeting for budget approval of final budget on July 30th at 9 a.m. Okay. Well, thank you all very much. Anything further?
That will have to be advertised today to make the 72 hours.
I was aware of that, Vice Chair, and I'll be working on that.
Thank you, County Manager. All righty, meeting or budget workshop is closed.